The floor of the induction hall was polished to a mirror finish. This was a tactical error. Instructor Vrox, had mentioned this to the maintenance crew 3 cycles ago. I told them that while a shiny floor looks impressive to the Admiral, it offers absolutely no traction for a 7-foot Kragian combat veteran when he is terrified. But I am getting ahead of myself. At 0800 hours, I was not terrified. I was imposing. I stood at the head of the drill deck, my heavy combat boots spread wide, my dorsal spines rigid with authority. My tail, a thick muscular appendage tipped with 3 keratin spikes, rested heavily on the floor behind me. I crossed my 2 muscular arms over my chest and glared at the fresh batch of recruits. They were a sorry sight. To my left, a recruit made of living rock, some sort of silicon-based life form from the asteroid belt, was trying to do a jumping jack. It was just heavy thudding. Each time it landed, the floor vibrated. To my right, a feathered avian recruit was preening its wing instead of listening to my safety briefing. "Listen up, you soft-shelled larva," I barked, my voice echoing off the high chrome walls. "This is basic combat orientation. Rule 1, do not die. Rule 2, if you die, do it outside so I do not have to fill out the cleaning forms." The recruits shuffled nervously. The rock creature crumbled a little bit of dust onto the floor. My 4 eyes, 2 stacked on the left, 2 on the right, scanned the room independently. My top left eye caught movement near the lockers. It was Cadet Glim. Glim was a Forian. He was 5 feet of bad attitude, wrapped in blue, bioluminescent skin. He stood on 2 backward-jointed legs that made him look like a nervous bird, and his 2 spindly arms were currently crossed in a posture of arrogance. His large, black, lidless eyes were fixed on the smallest recruit in the room. The human. Her name was Willa. She was tiny, soft skin, no visible armor, no claws, no fangs. She had a patch of fur on top of her head tied back in a messy knot. She was wearing the standard gray Academy flight suit, which was 3 sizes too big for her. She looked like a bag of laundry that had gained sentience. She was standing by her open locker, trying to shove a backpack inside. "It is standard regulation size," Glim sneered, his voice high and reedy. The blue glow of his skin pulsed brighter, a sign that he was feeling superior. "Perhaps if your species had advanced beyond dirt farming, you would understand geometry." Willa sighed. It was a small, deflating sound. She turned, holding the backpack. It was an ancient thing, canvas, frayed edges. One of the straps was held together with gray adhesive tape. "It fits, Glim," Willa said. Her voice was terrifyingly calm. "I just have too many books in it." "Books?" Glim laughed. It sounded like wet rubber rubbing together. "You carry physical data wafers? How primitive." I began to march over. As an instructor, it was my duty to stop bullying. Also, I wanted to yell at Glim because his bioluminescence was giving me a headache. "Cadet Glim," I roared, my heavy boots clamping loudly on the steel floor. "Is there a problem?" Glim jumped. His blue glow flickered out for a second, then flared red embarrassment. He pointed a spindly finger at the human. "Instructor Vrox, the human is bringing unauthorized refuse onto the drill deck. Look at this container. It is a health hazard. It probably contains bacteria." I stopped 3 feet away from them. I loomed over Willa. She didn't flinch. She just looked up at me with 2 small binocular eyes. "Open the locker, Cadet," I ordered. "I'm trying, sir," Willa said. "The bag is just lumpy." "Let me see this offensive object," I said, reaching out a clawed hand. Glim, feeling bold because I was there, decided to help. "Allow me, sir. I will dispose of this trash." Glim kicked the bag. Time seemed to slow down. The bag spun on the polished floor. It rotated once, twice. The frayed canvas caught the light. And then I saw it. Stitched onto the front pocket of the backpack was a patch. It was red and circular. In the center of the red circle was a white image, a human skull, and beneath the skull, 2 crossed bones. My blood ran cold. My scales, usually a vibrant dark green, instantly drained to a sickly ash gray. My dorsal spines, which had been standing tall, flopped over flat against my back with a wet thwack. I knew that symbol. Every species in the galaxy knew that symbol from the old archives. The death head, the mark of the Gorgok bone crushers. Legends whispered that humans used this symbol to mark containers of pure, unstable antimatter, or worse. It was the mark of a berserker assassin guild that ate the bones of their enemies, and Glim had just kicked it. "No!" I screamed. My instinct was not to run away. I am a Kragian. My instinct was to save the idiot student. I lunged. I threw my 7-foot, 300-pound body through the air in a heroic dive. My target was Glim. I had to tackle him, cover his body with my own, and shield him from the inevitable explosion that would come from the human doomsack. "Get down!" I bellowed. I hit Glim with the force of a falling meteor. Irk! Glim made a noise like a stepped-on squeaky toy. We hit the floor together. I landed directly on top of him, flattening his spindly blue body against the cold steel. My heavy combat vest slammed into his face. We slid. Because the floor was polished to a mirror sheen, we didn't stop. We became a projectile. I rode the Forian cadet like a sled, sliding across the drill deck at incredible speed. "Sir?" Glim wheezed from underneath my chest plate. My lungs. "Time 8. Time 8, times time. Times time. Time. Tie it, soldier," I yelled, pressing his head down with one massive hand to protect him from the blast radius. "Do not look at the artifact." We crashed into a rack of metal dumbbells. Clang, crash, thud. Weights scattered everywhere. A 50-pound iron disc rolled away, wobbling. The entire drill deck went silent. The rock recruit stopped jumping. The bird recruit stopped preening. A background cadet with transparent jelly skin suctioned itself to the wall in surprise. I lay there, panting, waiting for the heat of the explosion, waiting for the human assassin to unleash her chaos. Nothing happened. Slowly, I lifted my head. My dorsal spines were twitching with adrenaline. Willa was standing exactly where she had been. She was looking at us. She tilted her head to the side. She looked disappointed. She said. "Are you guys okay?" She took a step toward us. Panic seized my heart. She was advancing. She was going to finish the job. "Stay back!" I shouted, scrambling backward. I tried to get up, but my legs were tangled with Glim's limbs. I pushed off the floor, but my claws skittered on the slick surface. I looked like a lizard on ice. My tail lashed out uncontrollably in my panic. WHACK. My tail hit a row of lockers. Metal crumpled like paper. 3 locker doors flew off their hinges and clattered across the room. "Stay back, human," I warned, pointing a shaking claw at her. I have a whistle, and I know how to use it." Willa stopped. She looked at her bag, then back at me. She picked up the backpack by the top handle. "I was just going to pick up my bag," she said. "My lunch is in there." "Lunch?" I whispered. The word hung in the air. Lunch. A code word. It must be a code word for biological warfare. Glim groaned from beneath me. "Sir, your knee is in my spleen." I looked down. Glim's blue skin had turned a pale, flickering violet. His large black eyes were wide with confusion and pain. "Do not move, Glim," I hissed. "She is using psychological tactics. She is trying to lull us into a false sense of security with talk of nutrients." Willa slung the bag over one shoulder. The skull patch stared at me. It seemed to be grinning. "I'm just going to go to the classroom," Willa said, pointing toward the heavy blast doors at the end of the hall. "Is that okay? Or are we doing more?" "Sliding?" I narrowed my eyes. She was trying to isolate herself. She wanted to get to a strategic choke point. "Go," I barked. "Proceed to the containment cell. The classroom. Immediately." Willa shrugged. "Okay, see you there, instructor." She turned and walked away. Her gait was casual. Too casual. It was the walk of a predator who knew she'd already won. She disappeared through the blast doors. I exhaled, a long hiss of air escaping my nostrils. I slowly untangled myself from Cadet Glim. Glim tried to stand up. His legs were wobbly. He looked like a crushed glow stick. "Sir," Glim rasped, rubbing his bulbous head, "why did you assault me?" "I saved your life, you ungrateful worm," I snapped, standing up and brushing dust off my scales. "Did you not see the blood seal on her satchel? That human is a high-level operative." Glim blinked. "It looked like a cartoon, sir." "That is what they want you to think." I grabbed Glim by his thin shoulder and shook him. "That bag contains weapons of mass destruction, and she is taking it into a room full of unsuspecting civilians." I looked around the drill deck. The rock recruit was staring at me. The bird recruit was staring at me. Even the maintenance drone in the corner had stopped sweeping to watch. "What are you looking at?" I yelled at them. "Drill is canceled. Evacuate the sector. Go. Run for your lives." The recruits didn't need to be told twice. The bird recruit squawked and flew up into the rafters. The rock recruit lumbered toward the exit, shaking the floor. The jelly recruit simply dissolved into a puddle and flowed into a floor drain. I looked at Glim. "We have a duty, cadet," I said solemnly. "We do?" Glim asked, looking at the exit with longing. "Yes, we must disarm that human, or at least watch her from behind a very thick piece of glass." "I would prefer to go to the nurse," Glim said. "I think my left knee is now my right knee." "Walk it off," I ordered. "Follow me. Stay low. And for the love of the stars, do not kick anything else." I began to creep toward the classroom doors. I moved in a tactical crouch, my tail held low to avoid knocking over any more furniture. I felt ridiculous. I felt terrified. I reached the door control panel. I hesitated. What was she doing in there? Assembling a fusion cannon? Breeding a virus? Eating a sandwich? I hit the button. The heavy blast doors slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Inside, the classroom was a circular room with rows of desks and yellow warning lights along the floor. Willa was sitting at a desk in the center. She had placed the backpack on the desk. She was unzipping it. The sound of the zipper was like a chainsaw in the silence. Zezzup. My heart hammered against my ribs. I grabbed Glim and pulled him behind a metal support pillar. "She is activating it," I whispered. "Activating what?" Glim asked. "The doomsack," I said. "Prepare for the end, cadet. It has been an honor failing you." Willa reached into the bag. Her hand disappeared inside the dark, gaping maw of the canvas. She rummaged around. I closed all four of my eyes. This was it. The white light. The end. "Darn it," Willa's voice echoed. I opened one eye. "I forgot my pencil," she said. She pulled out a small rectangular object. It was brightly colored. It rattled. I gasped. "A cluster bomb canister." Willa shook the box. "Rattle, rattle." "She is priming the shrapnel," I shrieked. I tried to dive for cover again, but I forgot I was behind a pillar. I slammed my forehead directly into the steel beam. Clang. I fell backward, landing on my tail. My vision swam. Through the dizziness, I saw Willa looking at me again. She looked concerned. "Instructor?" she asked. "Do you need a nurse?" "I need backup," I groaned, rolling onto my stomach. "Glim, call the fleet." "Tell them." Tell them the human has a rattlebox." Glim was currently hiding inside a waste disposal bin. He poked his head out, the lid resting on his bulbous skull like a hat. "I cannot reach the comms, sir," Glim said. "I am stuck." I looked at the human. I looked at the backpack. I looked at my terrified student in a trash can. This was going to be a very long semester. "Just Jean L." I waved a weak claw at Willa. "Just keep your hands where I can see them, human, and do not unleash the sandwich." Willa blinked. "Okay." She opened the pencil box. I flinched. She took out a pen. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. It was just a writing stylus. A primitive, ink-based projectile, but manageable. Then she reached into the bag again. "Oh, and here's my water," she said. She pulled out a metal cylinder. It was dented, silver, heavy. I stared at it. It was a fuel rod, a portable thermal nuclear containment unit. And she was going to drink from it. "By the void," I whispered. "She is fueled by radiation." My legs gave out. I lay flat on the floor, accepting my fate. "Glim," I murmured into the cold steel floor. "Yes, sir," Glim squeaked from the trash can. "If we survive this, I am failing you for posture." "Yes, sir." Willa unscrewed the cap of the cylinder. A hiss of escaping gas carbonation filled the room. I covered my head with my arms and waited for the fallout. The hissing sound of the carbonated beverage, which I had identified as a pressurized thermal venting system, subsided. Willa took a sip. She swallowed the radioactive coolant without flinching. I was currently lying prone on the floor, my chin resting on the cold tiles, watching her through the gap between two desks. Beside me, the waste disposal bin vibrated. Cadet Glim was still inside it, humming a high-pitched distress signal that sounded like a dying mosquito. "Is the radiation gone?" Glim squeaked from the trash. "It is contained within her," I whispered back, my eyes fixed on the human. "For now." We needed to escalate. Standard protocol for a Class 5 biological hazard requires containment, isolation, and heavy armor. I was currently wearing a polyester drill vest and a look of sheer panic. This was insufficient. "Stay here, Glim," I ordered. "I cannot move, sir," the bin replied. "My knees are bent the wrong way." "Good. Hold the line. If she tries to staple anything, scream." I began to crawl backward toward the door. I moved with the stealth of a tectonic plate, my claws clicking against the floor. A maintenance drone, a small, hovering sphere with a single cleaning rag, drifted past me. It paused, wiped a smudge off my dorsal spine, and beat judgmentally before floating away. Even the cleaning staff had no respect for the chain of command. I reached the corridor and stood up, smoothing down my scales. I needed the heavy containment suit. I ran down the hallway. I passed a group of visiting dignitaries, tall, elegant beings with flowing robes and heads made of translucent crystal. They stopped talking as I sprinted past. "Emergency," I panted, pointing back at the classroom. "Human, lunch, run." The crystal beings chimed in unison, a lovely sound really, before shattering from stress. They didn't die, they just popped into a pile of confused gemstones. I didn't have time to sweep them up. I reached the emergency locker at the end of the hall. I punched in the code. The door slid open to reveal the EOD suit, Explosive Ordnance Disposal. It was a massive suit of thick yellow padding designed to withstand a supernova or a very angry toddler. I struggled into it. It was designed for a species with shorter legs. My tail had nowhere to go, so I had to tuck it down one pant leg. This made me walk with a severe limp, as if I had a log strapped to my thigh. The helmet was a heavy glass bowl that smelled of stale fear and rubber. Fully armored, I waddled back to the classroom. I looked like a giant yellow reptilian marshmallow. I entered the room. Willa was still sitting there. She had taken a notebook out of the bag. A notebook. Sheets of flattened wood pulp, highly flammable. Glim had managed to tip the trash bin over and was currently crawling across the floor like a hermit crab, still wearing the bin as a shell. "I've returned," I boomed inside my helmet. The sound echoed and deafened me for a second. "Cadet Willa, put down the cellulose slabs." Willa looked up. She squinted at me. "Instructor, is that you? You look. This is tactical padding." I shouted, waddling closer. I bumped into a desk and knocked it over. My balance was compromised by my tail being shoved down my pants. "I am here to negotiate the surrender of your weapons." "Weapons?" Willa asked. She looked genuinely confused. This was obviously a counterintelligence tactic. "I just have school supplies." "We shall see," I said, sweating profusely inside the suit. "Glim, report." The trash bin slid next to my leg. "She has been writing, sir," scratching symbols onto the dead trees with a graphite stick. It is terrifying, the scratching sound. It haunts me. "Steady, soldier," I said. I patted the top of the trash bin with a giant padded glove. Willa, slowly, very slowly, removed the next item from the doomsack. Willa sighed. "It's just a backpack, sir." She reached into the bag. I braced myself. I activated the blast shield on my helmet. A dark visor slid down, making everything look green. She pulled out a small black device. It had a metal jaw. It was spring-loaded. "A kinetic bone crusher," I gasped. Willa held it up. "It's a stapler. Do not point that at the innocent," I yelled. I tried to dive in front of Glim to protect him, but the suit was too stiff. Instead of diving, I just tipped over like a felled tree. Thud. I lay on my side, looking at the legs of the desks. "I am down. Man down. Glim, secure the perimeter. I am a bucket." Glim wailed. Willa looked at the stapler. Then she looked at her papers. She positioned the device over the corner of the pages. "No," I shouted. "The recoil will tear your arm off." She pressed down. Ka, chunk. The sound was sharp, mechanical, and violent. It was the sound of metal piercing flesh, or in this case, paper. Willa lifted her hand. She was unharmed. The papers were now fused together by a twisted piece of metal. "It is a fusion welder," I whispered, horrified. "She is binding matter together with handheld compression technology." I struggled to get up. My tail, trapped in my pant leg, began to spasm. This caused my right leg to kick out involuntarily. I kicked the trash bin. Glim went sliding across the room, spinning wildly. "Wee, ow, 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 ow." The bin hit the wall and bounced back. "Sorry," I yelled inside my helmet. I managed to roll onto my knees and push myself upright. Okay, you have demonstrated the power of the fusion welder. Please, no more." Willa put the stapler down. "Are you sure you guys are okay? You seem really tense." "Tense?" I laughed nervously. It sounded like a drain clogging. "We are Kragians. We are forged in the fires of conflict. We do not know the meaning of tension." My left eye was twitching so hard it was vibrating against the helmet glass. "Can I just eat my sandwich now?" Willa asked. "I'm really hungry." The S word again. "Sandwich." I nodded slowly. "Proceed." But slowly. "If I see any biological reaction." "True." "If you begin to glow or grow extra limbs." "True." "I will be forced to evacuate the sector." "Drew." Willa reached into the bag for the final time. She pulled out a lump wrapped in silver foil. The light from the ceiling hit the foil and scattered. "Reflective shielding," Glim whispered from the bin. He had poked his head out again. His blue skin was now a pale, sickly gray. "It protects the antimatter from stabilizing." Willa began to peel back the foil. Crinkle, crinkle. The sound was like jagged static in my earpiece. It grated on my nerves. She revealed the object inside. It was 2 slices of bread. Between them, a layer of red substance and a layer of yellow substance. Red, I noted, my voice trembling, the color of blood. And yellow, Glim added, the color of sulfur. A sulfur blood isotope, I concluded, highly volatile. Willa lifted the object to her mouth. She opened her jaws. "Don't do it," I screamed. "The containment field will rupture." She bit down. Crunch. She tore through the structure with her blunt, flat human teeth. She chewed. She swallowed. I waited for the explosion. I waited for her to melt. I waited for a black hole to form in her stomach and consume the galaxy. Instead, she smiled. She said. PB&J, PB&J, 1J, 1J, I repeated. An ancient curse? She took another bite. And another. She was destroying the isotope with her own body. She was a biological incinerator. Suddenly, a side door slid open. A background alien, a tall, spindly maintenance technician with 6 arms and a mop, poked his head in. He had a name tag that was just a barcode. "Hey," the technician clicked in a dialect of chirps. "Can you keep it down? I'm trying to wax the corridor and you're vibrating the floor." "Run, fool," I shouted at him. "The human is consuming biomass." The technician looked at Willa eating her sandwich. All 6 of his arms shrugged at once. "Looks like peanut butter," he chirped. "You military types are so dramatic." He closed the door. I felt foolish, but I also felt a deep, primal fear. The technician didn't understand. He didn't see the cold, dead look in her eyes as she devoured the sandwich. "She is finished," Glim whispered. Willa balled up the foil shielding and threw it into the recycling chute in the corner. 3 points. Perfect aim. "Okay," Willa said, wiping a crumb from her lip. "I'm done. Can I go to the next class now?" "I have astronavigation." She stood up. She grabbed the doomsack. She swung it over her shoulder. I realized then that if she went to astronavigation, she would meet Instructor Zorg. Zorg was a gas-based life form. If Willa brought that stapler near him, she could pop him. I had to stop her, or rather, I had to ensure she never came back to my class. "Wait!" I yelled. I tried to step forward, but my trapped tail spasmed again. I lost my balance. I fell forward. The heavy EOD suit made me top-heavy. I tipped like a falling statue. I slammed into Glim's trash bin. Clang. The impact launched Glim out of the bin. He flew through the air, his limbs flailing like wet noodles. He hit the emergency lockdown button on the wall with his face. Beep! Red lights began to flash. Sirens wailed. The blast door slammed shut, sealing us in. "System failure," a robotic voice announced. "Venting atmosphere in 30 seconds. "Venting?" I screamed. I tried to stand up, but I was like a turtle on its back. The suit was too round. I rocked back and forth, my legs kicking uselessly in the air. "Willa, save us! Use your fusion welder!" Willa looked at the flashing lights. She looked at me, rocking on the floor. She looked at Glim, who was peeling his face off the wall button. She walked over to the control panel. She looked at it for a second. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a stick of gum. "Gum," I gasped. "Plastic explosive." She chewed the gum for a second, then stuck it over the sensor that was blinking red. The siren stopped. The red lights turned off. The doors slid open. "The sensor was just loose," Willa said. "My dad showed me how to fix those. It just needed to be stuck down." Silence filled the room. I stopped rocking. Glim slid down the wall to the floor. She had silenced the alarm with a chewed piece of adhesive toxic waste. She had repaired a military-grade sensor with mouth sludge. She was not just a soldier. She was an engineer of chaos. "You." I panted, staring up at the ceiling lights. "You pass." Willa blinked. "What?" "A+, I wheezed. "Top marks. Distinguished honors. You are the greatest warrior I have ever seen. Now please, go. Go to astronavigation. Go to the cafeteria. Go to a different planet. Just take your doomsack and go." Willa smiled. It was a nice smile if you ignored the fact that she was a predator. "Thanks, Instructor Vrox. You're the best." She skipped out of the room. She actually skipped. As she left, the backpack bounced on her shoulders. The skull patch seemed to wink at me. The door closed behind her. I lay there in the silence for a long time. The heavy yellow suit pressed down on me. My tail was numb. My dignity was non-existent. "Sir?" Glim whispered from the floor. "Yes, cadet?" "I think I need a new major. Combat is too loud." "Agreed," I sighed. "I hear the botany department is nice. Plants do not carry backpacks." "Sir?" "Yes, Glim. Can you help me up? My left leg is currently behind my right ear." "Give me a minute, Glim," I said, closing my eyes. "I just need to lie here and appreciate the fact that I am not being stapled." Outside in the corridor, Through the thick glass of the door, I saw Willa walking away. She passed a 10-foot-tall cyborg with laser cannons for arms. The cyborg took one look at her backpack, saw the skull patch, and immediately dived into a ventilation shaft to hide. I smiled weakly. At least I wasn't the only one. The humans were coming, and they had lunch. It took the maintenance crew 3 hours to extract me from the explosive ordnance disposal suit. It turns out that when a Kragian sweats from sheer terror inside a rubber suit for an hour, it creates a vacuum seal. A background technician with a vacuum hose for a nose had to assist in prying the helmet off my head. I sat in my office chair, rubbing my sore dorsal spines. My tail was wrapped in a compression bandage. Across from me, Cadet Glim sat on a stool. He was currently glowing a soft, soothing pink, the color of a Phorian on heavy painkillers. His left leg was in a splint, and he was sipping a nutrient shake through a straw because his jaw was tired from screaming. "The report is filed, sir?" Glim asked, his voice slurred. "Yes," I said, looking at the datapad on my desk. "I have categorized Cadet Willa as a Class 10 passive-aggressive berserker. I noted that her backpack is a dimensional pocket containing an armory of torture devices disguised as office supplies." I tapped the screen. I had flagged the stapler as a kinetic railgun and the gum as a bioadhesive explosive. "Did you mention the sandwich?" Glim shuddered, his light flickering. "I redacted that part," I said gravely. "Central Command would panic if they knew humans consume colored sludge for fuel. It is better they remain ignorant." I leaned back, causing my chair to groan under my weight. "I have also approved her transfer." Glim sat up straight. "Transfer? Is she leaving the planet?" "No. I transferred her to the advanced melee course." "But sir," Glim whispered, "she has no claws, she has no armor, she is soft." I swiveled my chair toward the wall of security monitors. "Observe, Cadet." I pulled up the feed for the advanced melee gym. On the screen, a massive, four-armed gladiator beast was roaring, swinging a battle axe. Facing him was Willa. She was holding a gym towel. The beast charged. Willa sneezed, a violent human reflex. The sound echoed in the gym. The beast, confused by the sudden noise, tripped over its own feet and crashed face first into the mat. Willa wiped her nose with the towel and politely asked if he needed a tissue. The beast surrendered immediately. "By the stars," Glim whispered. "She defeated him with a nasal expulsion." "She is efficient," I nodded, "and she is no longer my problem." I reached into my desk drawer to retrieve my stress ball, a squishy moon rock. My hand brushed against something cold. I froze. I slowly pulled it out. It was the pencil case. The brightly colored box that rattled. "Sir?" Glim asked, backing away on his stool. "What is that?" "She left it," I croaked. "She forgot her cluster bombs." A note was stuck to it with the terrifying yellow sticky paper. "Hi, Instructor. I think I left my pencils. Keep them. I have extra, Willa." And then, the worst part, she had drawn a smiley face. 2 dots and a curved line. I stared at the drawing. To a human, it was a smile. To a Kragian, it was a threat. It was the face of a predator baring its teeth before the kill. "Glim," I said quietly. "Yes, sir?" "Call the bomb squad and tell them to bring the heavy tongs." Glim fainted, falling off his stool with a soft thud. I carefully placed the pencil case on the desk and slowly rolled my chair backward, out of the office, down the hall, and didn't stop until I reached the escape pods.